Have you ever sent a simple text message and then stared at your phone screen for 20 minutes, checking every 30 seconds to see if they replied? Or maybe you changed your entire outfit right before leaving the house just because someone made a passing, completely neutral comment about your shirt. It is an exhausting way to live, but almost all of us do it at some point. We spend an incredible amount of our daily energy trying to read minds, trying to predict exactly what people want from us, and twisting ourselves into complicated knots just to make sure everyone around us stays completely happy. But why do we do this? Why does the casual opinion of a complete stranger, a distant coworker, or even someone we do not particularly like or respect have so much power over our internal mood and our sense of self-worth? Today, we are going to unpack the hidden psychological reasons behind this constant, draining need for approval, and more importantly, how you can finally start breaking free from it to claim your own life back. Let us start with a simple but deeply uncomfortable truth. Wanting to be liked by others is not a personal flaw, and it is not a sign that you are weak or broken. It is actually a deeply hardwired survival mechanism that is baked straight into your biology. Thousands of years ago, if our ancestors were rejected or cast out by their tribe, it did not just mean a lonely weekend or an awkward social gathering. It meant literal death. Physical isolation in the ancient world meant you had to face wild predators, harsh winter weather, and starvation completely by yourself without any backup. Because of this, human brains evolved to treat social rejection with the exact same urgency, panic, and terror as a direct physical danger. When you feel that sharp, sudden sting of anxiety because someone seems slightly annoyed with you, that is your ancient survival brain screaming at you to fix the problem immediately so you do not get left behind in the wilderness to die. The real problem is that we no longer live in the wilderness, but our brains are still operating on that exact same ancient survival code. We treat a slightly cold email from a manager or a slow response from a friend like an absolute life or death crisis. But this pattern goes much deeper than just evolutionary biology. For many of us, this constant need to please was set in motion long before we ever entered the adult world or started our careers. Think back to your early childhood for a moment. As young children, we are completely and totally dependent on our adult caregivers for absolutely everything, including food, shelter, safety, and emotional comfort. We learn very early on which specific behaviors get us love, warmth, and validation, and which behaviors result in silence, anger, abandonment, or rejection. If you happen to grow up in an environment where parental love felt conditional, where you only received true praise or attention when you got perfect grades, stayed perfectly quiet, or anticipated every single emotional need of an unpredictable parent, your young brain learned a dangerous, lasting lesson. It learned that you are only safe, and you are only valuable, when you are actively making the people around you happy. You essentially became an expert mind reader because your emotional survival depended on it. You learned to suppress your own feelings, your own boundaries, and your own genuine desires just to keep the peace and avoid conflict. As adults, this deeply ingrained survival strategy shows up as chronic people-pleasing that slowly eats away at our happiness. You say yes to extra projects at work that you absolutely do not have the time or energy for because you are terrified your coworkers or boss will think you are lazy or incompetent. You stay in romantic relationships or friendships where your own basic needs are completely ignored because you are afraid that standing up for yourself will cause an uncomfortable conflict or make the other person leave you. You smile, laugh, and nod along with opinions you completely disagree with because the mere thought of an awkward silence or a minor disagreement makes your stomach drop with anxiety. Look closely at those specific moments. When you agree to something you secretly hate, who are you actually protecting? You are protecting yourself from the temporary, short-term discomfort of their disapproval, but you are doing it by completely betraying your own boundaries. Every single time you say yes to someone else when your soul is screaming no, you are sending a clear, damaging message to your own subconscious mind. You are telling yourself that their comfort and their happiness matter significantly more than your own truth. Take a single moment to reflect honestly on your own life right now. Think about the very last time you felt a massive wave of anxiety about what someone thought of you or your actions. What did you do immediately after that feeling hit? Did you apologize profusely for something that was not even your fault? Did you over-explain your personal choices, desperately hoping they would understand your perspective and validate you? This behavior is what psychologists call reassurance seeking, and it acts exactly like an addiction. You feel a wave of anxiety, so you immediately look for a sign, a look, or a word that the other person is still okay with you. They smile, or they finally text you back, and you feel a sudden, beautiful rush of intense relief. The anxiety fades away for a moment. But because you did not actually learn to soothe that internal anxiety yourself, the relief is incredibly temporary. A few hours later, or perhaps the next morning, the toxic doubt creeps right back into your mind, and you find yourself hunting around for the next sign of approval. It is a never-ending, vicious cycle that keeps you trapped as a helpless hostage to other people's shifting, unpredictable moods. An incredible, life-changing realization happens when you discover that most people are actually not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Psychologists refer to this common mental phenomenon as the spotlight effect. We naturally view the entire world entirely from our own personal perspective, which mistakenly makes us feel like there is a giant, bright spotlight shining down on our every single move, our every minor mistake, and our every awkward comment. But the absolute truth is that everyone else is trapped completely inside their own spotlight, deeply worrying about their own mistakes and constantly wondering what you think of them. They are far too busy rehearsing what they are going to say next, or stressing about their own private insecurities, to notice that your voice cracked for a split second or that you wore the exact same outfit twice in the same week. When you truly realize that people are largely consumed by the chaotic noise of their own lives, it gives you a strange, beautiful kind of freedom. You finally stop performing so hard for an audience that is not actually watching you. Let us look at another hidden psychological layer of this behavior, which is the deeply rooted fear of being seen as selfish. Many of us were taught from a very young age that being a good, moral person means putting everyone else first, always, and without exception. We internalize this heavy idea that having personal boundaries, stating our true preferences, or saying no to others is inherently unkind, cold, or mean. But there is a massive, crucial difference between being selfish and having basic self-respect. Selfishness is demanding that the entire world revolve around you and completely ignoring the rights, feelings, and needs of others. Self-respect is simply recognizing that your personal needs, your limited time, and your mental health are just as valuable and important as anyone else's on this planet. When you live your life with zero boundaries, you are not actually being kind or nice. You are actually practicing a subtle form of manipulation, even if it is completely subconscious. You are actively hiding your true self and presenting a false, entirely agreeable version of who you are, just to control how other people perceive and treat you. True, deep human connection can never grow in an environment where you are constantly hiding who you really are. Think about how incredibly exhausting it is to maintain that heavy mask day after day. You have to constantly monitor your words, carefully adjust your tone, and filter your thoughts based entirely on who happens to be in the room with you at that exact moment. You become a social chameleon, changing your colors to match every single environment you walk into. But when you try to please everyone, you end up belonging nowhere, because the person everyone loves is not actually you. It is just the agreeable character you are playing for them. Meanwhile, the real you stays completely hidden, lonely, and increasingly resentful. That growing resentment is a vital warning sign from your psyche. If you feel bitter, drained, or completely exhausted after helping someone or doing a favor, it is usually because you did not give from a place of genuine generosity. You gave out of obligation, guilt, and fear. You traded your valuable time and energy for their temporary approval, and when they do not give you the exact reaction, praise, or appreciation you secretly hoped for, you feel deeply cheated and angry. Breaking this cycle requires a radical, courageous shift in how you view disapproval. You have to accept a foundational truth that might sound harsh at first, but is actually deeply liberating. Someone, somewhere, is simply not going to like you. In fact, multiple people throughout your life will misjudge you, misunderstand you, or just plain dislike your overall energy, no matter how perfect, sweet, and accommodating you try to be. You could be the most kind, thoughtful, and helpful person in the entire world, and someone out there will still find your kindness incredibly annoying, fake, or weak. Think about your own personal preferences for a moment. There are perfectly good, talented, nice people in the world whose vibe just does not click with yours. It does not mean they are bad people, and it certainly does not mean you are bad either. It just means you are different. When you finally allow other people to have their own negative or neutral opinions of you, without needing to correct them, defend yourself, or change their minds, you take your power back completely. Their opinion becomes information about them and their taste, not a definition of your worth as a human being. So how do you actually start practicing this in your daily life? It starts with very small, intentional steps. The next time you feel the intense urge to over-explain yourself or justify a decision, make a conscious choice to pause. If you have to say no to a social invitation or a favor, just say, "I cannot make it this time, but thank you so much for thinking of me." Resist the powerful temptation to invent a complicated excuse, a fake lie, or a long story to justify your decision. Let the silence hang there in the air. It will feel incredibly uncomfortable at first. Your heart might race, your palms might sweat, and your brain will scream at you that you are being rude or mean. Sit with that discomfort. Breathe through it slowly. Every single time you allow yourself to experience that minor social anxiety without rushing to fix it with an apology or a people-pleasing gesture, you are literally rewiring your nervous system. You are teaching your brain that you can survive a moment of perceived disapproval without the world ending. Another powerful psychological tool is to start building what experts call an internal locus of control. People who constantly seek approval possess an external locus of control, meaning their sense of safety, happiness, and self-worth is entirely dependent on outside forces and opinions. If people praise them, it is a great day. If someone looks at them funny or misunderstands them, it is a terrible, ruined day. To flip this dynamic completely, you have to become the primary judge and evaluator of your own actions. At the end of every day, instead of asking yourself, "Did they like me today?" start asking yourself, "Did I like how I handled myself today? Was I honest to my core? Did I respect my own boundaries? Did I treat people with kindness while still respecting my own energy?" When your core validation comes from your own internal alignment with your personal values, the fluctuating, chaotic opinions of the outside world lose their power to destabilize your life. Remember that this is a long journey of unlearning, not an overnight switch that you just flip. You have spent years, perhaps decades, practicing the deeply ingrained habit of seeking approval. Your brain has deeply carved pathways that automatically seek the safest, most agreeable route in every single social interaction you have. Be incredibly patient and gentle with yourself when you catch yourself slipping back into old habits of people-pleasing. The mere fact that you are noticing it happen is a massive, historic victory in itself. Awareness is always the very first step toward true freedom. Every single day offers you dozens of tiny, beautiful opportunities to choose yourself over the expectations of others. You do not have to be loud, aggressive, or confrontational to claim your rightful space in this world. True strength is quiet. It is the calm, steady conviction that you are allowed to exist, you are allowed to have needs, and you are allowed to make mistakes without needing a permission slip from anyone else. You are the only person who has to live inside your own skin for your entire life. Make sure that person is someone you actually know, respect, and love deeply. If this helped you understand your mind better, subscribe for more videos like this.